Hi, welcome to part 3 of my DIY Microcamper conversion. Slight confession to make, since part 1 and part 2 the camper has now been built and I actually went away in it a few times last year. But let's get on with part 3. In this episode I will be showing you how I built the seats, including how the actual bed works and pulls out, etc. The kitchen unit and even the curtains, plus some other little things. So if you want to see more of my odd videos, why not like, subscribe to my channel. So let's get on now. As you will see, we have an American Bulldog. She thinks if we're on the floor, she thinks we're actually playing. So when doing things like this, she does actually get in the way a little bit. In the last part, you see me making the actual frameworks for the seating stroke bed area. The top of the bed is basically made from plywood. The mattress stroke padding is from a futon that I bought, which only cost a tenner and is exactly the size that I actually wanted it for. There are actually 4 parts to make up the seating. You've got the L shape of the actual framework, then the missing part from there, if you get what I mean, and as well, because it's a Peugeot partner, the actual length isn't just enough just to sleep. So what you do is you just move the seats forward, and then that produces a little gap of around about 6 inches, and then that's the other part for the middle. As the futon has got 2 parts, one for the bottom and one for the top, these were then the 2 lengths. I just took all the covering off and everything else, so basically left with the foam, the fire retardant material and everything else. So then I could use the 2 sides to go down and cut them equally as needed. The foam was spray adhesived onto the actual plywood, and then from there for the actual covering, this was from a curtain that we actually bought off a car boot. It actually cost just 50p. I don't know the sizes, but it was basically large enough to fit all those 4 pieces that I've just said. That was put underneath and then stapled around the side. Unfortunately my electric stapler had broke, so I had to use the manual stapler, which was fun, but you just pull it tight and it worked. To cover the outside of the seating frames, I used the stretchable carpet. This is pretty simple to actually put on, just spray adhesive on the actual unit. Sometimes I did it on the carpet as well, just to give it more secure. Stretch it around, and that the only problem I had is like the tops and the bottom where it like folds over. It's just a bit of a pain to do. Did this for all of them. I thought that would look better than like a laminate cover. On the back unit that you can see being made now, one part is actually a cupboard door that actually opens, but the other part, which then slides out to support the bed, because the cupboard, if you put it at a 45-degree angle, that supports the one end, and then this drawer then will support the other. So I got some very strong drawer runners for this. These then I just had to put a side panel on and then screw these in and put some battens on, which then eventually attach to the front. The same then with the other one that goes behind the actual seats, because of, again, like I said, about that 6-inch gap, that then pulls out, has supports on it, which then supports the end of the bed. The kitchen unit part was actually built in two parts. The reason for this and having the smaller part was I was trying to do it so that the actual single back seat could actually fit back in. In the end, I decided not to do that, so they're basically joined together as one, just to basically so that it could be 3 seats. The top of the kitchen unit, I hadn't actually got a worktop to put on it, so I just used the plywood and then put like the laminate sticky stuff that you get to put on top. Not the best, but it did to start with. In the end, I have actually got a worktop now for it as well. Both of the kitchen units are then covered again in the stretchy blue carpet. This was then the 2 sections, and I joined them together. In hindsight, because I've never tried to put the 3rd seat in or anything like that, I should have done it as one, because I would have saved, you know, the actual battening, so that would have just given me a little bit more space and easier as one unit to actually put in there, because they were actually screwed together. For the front of the kitchen unit, the first time I actually went away, I hadn't got the front cover in. I just used a bit of material over it, but then, because I hadn't decided exactly how I was going to do it, in the end what I actually did is it's a cupboard to the right hand side, the smaller part, which actually opens up, a cupboard at the bottom, and that houses the actual gas cooker and so on. And at the top, basically that's a little cutout part, like a little shelf, and that then is level with just above the bed, so when you're lying in bed you can use that to store things and everything on the night as well. They were all cut down, and then again used the stretchable carpet over it just to give it that nice look. Again, I did have problems with the corners in the actual cutout part. It doesn't look perfect, but it's you wouldn't notice it. It's only me that's being a bit picky really on that one. For insulation, I used the silver bubble wrap insulation. For the sides by the windows, they were took off, the little plastic panels, they were took off and insulated inside with spray adhesive and then carpeted on the outside. Around the actual jack part, the little compartment, that was done, I took all the trim off, that was then insulated around, as well as then the actual jack compartment was insulated inside, and then all that was carpeted around. The boot trim was also taken off. This was carpeted on the outside, i.e. what's in the car. Inside, that was then insulated again with spray adhesive. I had to just poke through the little holes so that it would actually clip back on. I'd also drilled a little hole in it to try and get so that you can open the boot from the inside with a little pull latch, because the release latch is on a pull system. I put all that in, put a little thing in. Unfortunately it didn't work, so that's a design for the next time, because the only problem is with this car is from the inside you can't open the boot, which means you just go through the side door, and the way I've got it designed you can either go through the back or the front, so it's one thing I've got to sort out. With the curtains for this camper, it's been a bit of a pain to actually do. Well, not really a pain, it's we've gone through so many designs. The original design was using a curtain wire and then curtains that actually just, you know, pull across. I didn't want to have to put things, just stick them in the window, so I had curtain track around and then curtains that drop down. The only problem is because the actual windows goes in, the curtain dropped down a little bit, you was losing a little bit. So the next design was put a bit of velcro on the bottom of that, which then pulled them in. The front cab one, because it's got to go around, that's actually 3 pieces of wire, so it actually goes towards the front, then across, and then back down again. It's a little bit of a weird design, but it's just because of the actual where the front seats end and they have to be put forward. The version of the Peugeot partner that I bought was the Quicksilver one. This had a compartment going all the way at the back, it just dropped down. This would be useful for storage, but unfortunately it would reduce headroom in the back, so this was taken down. Basically it just unscrewed from the top, and then there was the 2 struts, so they then were removed as well. Now, with the back seats being removed, this is where people didn't know what to do and everything about seatbelts. Well, from what I found out, because there is no physical seats in the back, you can actually remove the seatbelts. We'll find out when I actually take it for the MOT. So basically this was just removed. It was just as simple as just undoing one bolt and just taking that off, and then it's all out the way. I've still left though the actual seat belt just dangling down at the bottom and then carpeted over that, so if I did need to put it back up, it is just adding one bolt back in. The last thing I'm going to talk about on this video is the carpet. Originally I put down the black stretch carpet on the floor. It just didn't seem durable enough the first few times I took it away, and as I just recarpeted my office, I'd got a spare offcut of pretty thick carpet, so that went down. And as you can see here from the look around, all the sides were carpeted and around the windows and around the jack and even behind where the kitchen would be. Thank you for watching part 3 of my DIY camper conversion video. If you haven't already seen parts 1 and 2, links will be in the description. If you want to see more, there's going to be probably about another 2 parts. One will be as it was to when I used it last year, and then the final one is any tweaks, because like anybody knows, taking a camper away, you always find you need to certain change things to, yeah, as you use it. So again, if you want to like, subscribe, do all that. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.